The 7th Central Pay Commission have submitted the report to the Government of India and the Home Minister has received it. From what we see, it appears that the government does not feel any requirement for the armed forces in India and have decided that they can make do with bureaucracy, derogatorily referred to as babus, and sundry other police forces, and they feel that that is good enough for the defense of the country. Very harsh words, but this seems to be what we find in the following points that I have come out with. Firstly, for the defense forces, they have given a top-end pay scale for each rank. And this is much lower than the top-end pay scale which has been allowed for the civil services. Next, military service pay. Military service pay was originally sanctioned because of the totally different conditions under which the armed forces are serving. Now, the service headquarters has recommended that the military service pay should be 52% of the basic pay for officers and 62% of the basic pay for JCOs and OR. However, the 7th Pay Commission, what they have done is, they have totally ignored the recommendation of the service headquarters and they have made a ceiling. They have said, for officers it will be 15,500 rupees, for MNS it will be 10,800 rupees, for JCOs, NCOs and OR it will be 5,200 rupees, and for non-combatants enrolled it will be 3,600 rupees. What is worse is, when they are working out for house rent allowance and also for transfer grant, they have said the military service pay will not be taken into account. They said that will not be part of the consideration for house rent allowance and for transfer grant. Now, most astonishingly and erroneously, the Central Pay Commission has indicated the retiring age of Sepoys as 42 to 48. And for Nayaks, they say the retirement age is 49, Havaldars 49, Naib Subedar 52, and aircraftsmen and leading aircraftsmen as 52. Where they got these figures from, we do not know, and they have not taken into consideration that close to 85% of the Sepoys retire at the age of 35. Then, in 1973, the pension was 72 to 75% of the last pay drawn in the case of JCOs and other ranks. For officers, it was 50% of the last pay drawn. And for the civilians, it was 33% of the last pay drawn. Accordingly, now the pensions should be 90% of the last pay drawn for JCOs and other ranks, and it should be 70% for officers. But that is not what they have given. They have in fact remained silent about it, and we have to assume that it remains at 50% of the last pay drawn. Next, 100 units of free electricity was given to defense personnel. Free electricity has been abolished. Similarly, funeral allowance, which was given to ex-servicemen, has been abolished. There was a long-standing demand for the upgradation of Group X sergeants and havaldars to diploma pay scales. This has been rejected. In future, as never before, servicemen will have to contribute for their pensions. In addition, the technical pay Tier 2 for defense officers has been abolished. Flight charge certificate allowance has been abolished. Furlough leave and free ration for defense officers has been abolished. Disability pension has been reduced, and this is a very, very, very sad thing because almost everyone sustains some kind of, or a major proportion of men, JCOs and officers sustain some kind of injury during the service. To reduce it is very, very sad. On the other hand, let us see the benefits that have been given to the IAS and police forces. Now, OROP is a thing. One rank, one pension is a matter that the veterans have been struggling since 1973. Even now, the relay hunger strike is entering the 7th month from the start. There's an ongoing struggle all over India for one rank, one pension. It has not been granted to the armed forces, in spite of statements by the Prime Minister and the Defence Minister. The one rank, one pension has not yet been granted. However, this 7th Pay Commission grants one rank, one pension for everyone, across the board. We struggle, we have not got it. They have sanctioned it for everyone. Gallantry Award, monthly allowance of Coast Guards have been increased, whereas for the armed forces, the Gallantry Awards monthly allowance has not been increased. Cobra allowance for police forces has been brought at par with the special forces allowance of the defence personnel. Ex gratia allowance for police forces has been enhanced and brought at par with the defence personnel. One additional railway free warrant has been given to police forces in line with the defence forces. Now, here is a very, very important thing. Special duty allowance for IAS and IPS has been increased to 30%. Let us take the case of a joint secretary who gets the salary of 1,87,200 rupees. He will get an allowance of 54,810 per month if he serves in Northeast and Ladakh. Whereas the Siachen allowance, flying allowance and submarine allowance for the defence forces has been capped at 31,500. Now, when a joint secretary goes to Ladakh, he will get 54,800, and a defence personnel who goes beyond that or who goes in a submarine will get a top of only 31,500 depending upon his rank. Now, this kind of unjust bonanza to the IAS and IPS and police forces and the commensurate losses that have been put on the defence forces gives one the feeling that the present government does not care for the armed forces at all. From that, we can imagine what the fate of the country is going to be. I am sure better sense will prevail and the injustices that I have just brought out will be corrected and set right. Jai Hind.